Hi, Spencer Lieutenant at Berkeley College Police. Yeah, I need to speak with you, either on the phone or in person. The school monitored a disturbing tweet between you and Frack.
Make some new behaviors that straight people will infringe. I just want you to see, I just want you to see. Don't really drove a bunch of people into lunacy. Tonight no freaking out, don't check my bank account. Don't check my grades right now, just go insane right now. It might get just a million poggers. I got someone else like 7,000 poggers. And I'm running through the streets like I am Frogger. Everything I do, attention from these vloggers.
You're an icon cause you're me. Think about how many people know they're gay because of me. Got that FR it's my whole crew getting guzzly. Grab your man, he's trying to role play with me. I'll snuggly restrain. Before he pissed me off too much and I complain. You'll never get that fucking tarnish off your name. You fuck with me, you'll have to find a different space. Stay in your place. Get out like crazy.
I just want you to see, don't really drove a bunch of people into lunacy. Tonight no freaking out, don't check my bank account. Don't check my grades right now, just go insane right now.
25 minutes till I go on stage. When I crowd up to playing like a Beyonce. Smoking a dark green room like a Beyonce. Almost okay, but someone here gives me a real vibe. And your vibe's on, I bet you listen to Maroon 5. You wanna have a conversation about my whole life. I could talk, but I gotta go. They barking, panting for me, that's the talk.
I just want you to see, I just want you to see. Don't really drove a bunch of people into lunacy. Tonight no freaking out, don't check my bank account. Don't check my grades right now, just go insane right now.
It's
这是你的大姐，这不分你 This composition is made of straight and branched genes apart from the methynes.
All right, there we go. Hey, freaking glasses. The hair always gets caught all weird and it hurts. Ow. Anyway, yeah, they're like blue light glasses. I use them because like if I stare at computer screens too long, especially at night, it fucks up my eyes. Let's see here. And it makes it so I really don't go to bed. So it helps to wear them. Alright, let me see here. Let me see that the... 1 second here. Music's a little loud, feels like. It's mostly just there for me. Because it just keeps me actually more focused to have music. See here, song slaps. If you're doing online tests, there was this one on personality types. I've seen some people wind up with like high percentages of histrionic and schizoid at once. It would be interesting to see. Oh yeah, cool. Maybe I'll find it. Cause what I basically found was a long time ago somebody had recommended the site because it's just full of all kinds of shit. I don't know. Maybe they're good. Maybe they're not. I'm not sure. But here, let me... Well, before I bring all that up, I just want to talk for a little bit. So yeah, if you have never been here before on a Thursday, I basically just let mostly the audience, what little there may be, decide on what they want me to talk about, or they can bring shit to me, or if they have problems, they need advice, and they're schizoid, or just have some thoughts, or whatever, you know. I'm here to talk about whatever, because on Thursdays, I don't want to come up with all the topics. Right now, I just thought, oh, it'd be fun to take some of these tests, and then wouldn't require me coming up with anything. But Thursdays is when I'm the most tired during the week, but I still want to stream and hang out with y'all. So, here I am, and some updates. What did I do today? Let's see. My psych had ordered an EKG because I had to get re-evaluated again for ADHD because I got diagnosed as a kid, but they need me to redo it again so I can start taking, or I can choose to take certain types of meds because it's like works really hard. Because of this other issue too, where I fall asleep or I get just distracted, and I'm just like, if it's boring, I have a lot of trouble. And right now at work, like the work I have to do right now is digging around for stuff to, do AI training for. But a lot of the stuff I work on can be pretty boring at the moment, so it's just like really hard for me. Um, but so for that, she needed me to go get a blood test, drug test, do a eval, like a really comprehensive eval that I had to pay like $75 for or something because my insurance wouldn't cover it for adult ADHD. And then I had to do a EKG today. And I guess she's going to use all that information. This is like the most responsible, comprehensive psychiatrist I've ever had. Like, she's actually like wants to know like all my medical stats so that she makes sure she doesn't give me anything that could make things worse or fuck me up. So that's pretty based, and I know why, because according to them, they told me they're diagnosed ADHD. So my psychiatrist has ADHD, so that's kind of interesting. So they kind of know what's up. It's always nice when you can get a lived experience type professional for your unique situation. So I have that going on, and that was just funny. I went in. The question they always ask me at the beginning of each of those sessions, it's always the same question. It's do you have depression? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, oh, how often? And I'm like, since I can remember. But it's generally up and down, or down and middle ground, I guess. It's not up, right? But so it's always just like a funny thing. They always have to ask, and they always get concerned or whatever. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm already diagnosed with all kinds of problems, so you're good. Oh, then they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that was cool. And I got a referral to go see an EMT too, because my left nostril, I think I have a deviated septum, which also is part of the reason I have to use the CPAP, because I literally just can't breathe out of my left nostril like most of the time. It sucks. Yeah. I feel like it affects me being able to catch my breath when I'm like talking too fast, because I'm not breathing very much through my mouth, and my nose is only getting like half the air it should be able to. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah, you guys bring me stuff you want to talk about in the chat, or you can jump on the VC and talk to me while I take these little tests or whatever. Or you can bring up whatever topic you want. It doesn't have to be about schizoid stuff. It doesn't always have to be about mental health stuff. It's just whatever, I'm hyped about tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to be interviewing a schizophrenic gentleman that has a much larger channel than my own, and they have a lot of experience and a lot of thoughts, and have done content regarding schizophrenia. So I'm pretty hyped about that. I don't like to say who it is until like I've actually done it. It's like a weird thing. Like I feel like I'll like mess it up or something if I say it. So that's gonna be cool. I'm actually pretty, as you can tell by my demeanor, I'm actually pretty hyped about that. See, smile. So so that part's cool. All right, let me move into. Doesn't look like anybody has anything to say about all this nonsense. It's perfectly fine. So I'm just gonna move on to what I was gonna do. There it is. Some psychotest website. I was like, damn, dude, there's like a lot of shit in here. Like, a lot. And some of it's kind of comprehensive looking. So I'm kind of interested. Hold on, let me undeafen myself. Somebody jumped on. Hello, Drock. How are you today? Have you been here before? Let me see here. I don't think you have the roles to talk. Send me a DM, yeah? And then tell me, send me a DM and tell me why you want to jump on and hang out on the stream or talk. Just a quick DM, because if you've never been on, I have to give you like a role. so that you can talk on here. It's just to avoid people jumping on and like dropping N-bombs all over my stream or something. So just a quick DM. It'll be cool. And then I can give you the role. Anyway. Alright. So, until then. Oh, my rib cage hurts. I know that much. Remember, like a while back, I don't know if you guys were around, I was talking about how I like this pain in my rib cage. I'm still dealing with it. It's very annoying. Very, very annoying. Hello, I'm suppressed. I've been in your server for a long time, but I've talked once or twice with you. Have you? Okay, cool. Maybe you just never done it on here. Sure. Give me 1 second. There we go. Alright, so just jump off and then jump back on and you should be able to talk. That's all you need to do. Just jump off the, or get off the VC and then jump back in. There you go. Hello.
Hey, I was in the middle of typing up the DM, but you saw what I typed in YouTube.
Yeah, I did. Just in time. So what's up? How may I help you today?
I mean,
Are you...
I guess I've got some things in my head I could talk about, but I'm also down to talk about anything.
I'll take the stuff in your head because I don't want to think of things. This is Head Empty Thursdays. So I don't want to think of stuff to talk about. I do that on Tuesday and definitely on Saturday. And I'm very, very active. But Thursday, I'm tired. I want other people to give me ideas. I'll talk, but I don't want to come up with the ideas.
Yeah, understandable. I found your channel and your server about like 6 months ago, I think. I think the first video I saw was you with Dreg, and then I watched a few other videos from you. I've watched a lot of like schizoid content and read a bunch of stuff on Reddit and like on like articles and everything.
Cool.
I don't have schizoid, but I dated somebody with schizoid for a while, so that's why
Interesting.
I had that interest in it, I guess, to figure it all out. But
Oh, so what...
that was a very pain. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't mind me asking, hold on. Is pain a specific sauce? I used to think that it's from frequent eating. No, real quick, sorry. Active research. No, it's this left rib. I initially, dude, I got a colonoscopy, endoscopy, blood work, x-ray, just to figure out what this, like, kind of dull pain that's always there is. And then I started, I talked to a specialist, and basically he thinks it's just the cartilage in my rib that flares up or gets, like, inflamed or swollen. And the only way to, like, deal with it is to take naproxen or Aleve and use this ointment thing. And I ran out of Aleve, which sucks. But I did that for a while, and then it, like, stopped. It stopped doing that to me for, like, a month or two. Like, 2 months. I didn't have the issue, and then it's coming back again. So it's probably just going to be a weird ongoing issue. It's my left, like, my lowest, almost, like, my lowest left rib cage. Or my rib, sorry, not rib cage. My lowest left rib. But yeah, they think it's like it's called, because it's normally in the center. Sometimes people get it in the side. But it has to do with that cartilage and stuff or whatever that's kind of surrounding, connecting the bones or something. I don't know. Some shit like that.
Rip.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. But no, what I was gonna ask you is so you dated someone you said that was diagnosed or self-diagnosed schizoid, or like
Diagnosed.
They were diagnosed? Interesting.
Yeah, they're like actually.
I'm curious too, like so when you started looking up all this stuff and everything. Oh, and by the way, before I go into that, would you mind saying if you're diagnosed with anything?
I have ADHD.
Okay, welcome to the club, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a schizoid
Thank you.
with
Thank you.
ADHD. So, um,
Mhm.
that's a weird mix sometimes. So I'm curious to if you want to talk about it, if you have ideas or thoughts on it, or whatever you want to say.
Um.
That's really curious. I'd like to hear a perspective from someone.
Yeah. I'd say the biggest thing that comes to mind is the like internal battle of reading somebody's like behavior and just the way they talk and carry themselves and everything, and making like assumptions based off of that, and then just like with schizo, like with normies, like that's a very good way to understand reality, is to like read into their behaviors and their words and everything, and like use that as a way to figure out how they feel about you or feel about other things. But with schizoids, that doesn't really map nearly as well.
No, it will.
Um,
It won't, especially if Well, I mean, a lot of the reason I think it doesn't is because I think schizoids, and to some degree, are either on schizo-spectrum or autistic spectrum. So
mhm.
their kind of experience with stuff is going to be so oftentimes very different on beyond
Yeah.
just the social level, but
Mhm.
very much on a social level. And yeah, it's gonna make it really difficult to sort of
Yeah.
be able to
And there's
gauge from a conventional perspective what it is that they're thinking when they're saying things. Yeah.
yeah, and there's also that like fundamental split of like they like I guess like the core of like who they are or what they feel like a lot of schizoids don't even know how they truly feel about something because it's so like segmented off
Well, yeah,
from the
yeah.
rest of
Them
their brain.
disassociated oftentimes from
Um
their own emotionality. Yeah.
yeah.
And then even, and when you're like that for a lot of your life, you're also pretty like your sense
Mhm.
of identity can be a little loosey goosey, a little bit
Mhm.
more confusing and hard to pinpoint at times. Just,
Yeah. Like
yeah.
one of the things she's talked about it is
She?
like yeah. Um
Oh, your ex.
like yeah.
Okay.
Um sorry, I'm having a brain fart at the moment. Um like
Good.
a lot of people well, I guess most people have like a gut feeling about stuff in general, and like in general with life, like it's good to follow your intrinsic desire and your gut feeling about stuff. And like a lot of people have midlife crises because they ignore like
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes
what
those
they
gut
feel like they
feelings are
should
what
do
get
and
people
follow the
killed, but
rest of
yeah.
the. Well, I'm kind of saying the opposite. Like a lot of people like that have a midlife crisis, like they kind of ignore their gut and
Hmm.
kind of do what the rest of the world tells them to do. But
Yeah.
she said like she doesn't even have that like gut feeling or whatever, like about stuff in general,
Yeah.
like an intrinsic desire.
Yeah,
I guess that's
yeah,
kind of.
hedonia and evolution will do that to you. It'll kind of
Mhm.
like make it so that you don't really take much pleasure in a variety of things that would give most people some sense of pleasure or meaning and stuff. Yeah, schizoids generally have a
Mhm.
tough time with that for a variety of reasons, for sure.
Mhm.
So yeah, I get what you're saying about not having that gut feeling because you kind of feel a lot of schizoids, especially in their 20s and stuff, they feel kind of aimless and kind of without any kind of sense of why they even want to partake in the world that they inhabit, just kind of floating in it,
Mhm.
wondering what the
And
hell the point of it is.
yeah, and that kind of wombo combos with that first thing I talked about, like how you can't really read into how they're feeling about certain things based off of their actions because it's already like that level of separation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um.
Yeah, like they could be like say staying away from someone and have a multitude of reasons why they stay away. And a
Mhm.
lot of people will interpret it as a dislike of them or a hatred or a anxiety when in fact it might have nothing to do with that specific person. It might just be the
Yeah.
state of mind that they're currently under, and then the
Mhm.
anxiety of knowing that those assumptions are going to be made, and then the problems that come with those assumptions, and then having to navigate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what makes that. It's what causes a lot of stress for a lot of schizoids, and then
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
That's
sure.
definitely something I struggle with as well.
Okay.
With me making the well, like I almost like can't help but feel that way.
What do you mean?
Like when or like to have those assumptions be generated in my brain. Because I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
damn,
Well,
well,
I mean, there's
if
that,
this
and then
is
also like I don't know what other kind of issues you might have when it comes to like I don't know, projecting insecurity onto people,
yeah.
and their behaviors. Like I don't know what level of that kind of stuff you got going on. I don't know anything about you, but point is,
Hmm.
yeah, like whatever, even a healthy level, somewhat
Hmm.
healthy level is like it's really kind of very very difficult for like it's usually going to be very inaccurate. Um, those
Hmm.
assumptions are going to be very inaccurate when it comes to somebody that's like legitimately schizoid, for sure.
Hmm.
Like like people will sometimes interpret indifference or ambivalence to active dislike or
Yeah.
animosity. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
pretty crazy.
I mean, I've even had people project that same thing onto me, like whenever I'm just neutral to them. Like I had a coworker that thought I hated him until we became friends, but he was like, "Yeah, I just thought you hated me the whole time when I did nothing with him." Um,
Yeah, yeah. I don't hate most
but
people. I just don't care for them.
yeah, um, yeah. Me and her, we were on and off for a while, but we both of the times that we broke up has just been because like literally just because schizoid. Like she just doesn't feel like she has the ability to maintain a relationship, nor does she have like the desire to try to like become a person that can do that.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
which
Well,
I
I
can't
mean,
like I
it might
mean
it might
I
be
can't hold
based
that against her
on
or anything.
no, yeah, and it might be based on both of you having. See, that's the thing. That's what something that often isn't brought up is that it might not be either person's fault. In many regards, in the sense that yeah, you both of you might have fundamentally different motivations for even wanting to attempt a relationship, right? Like the
Hmm.
actual things that would fulfill or make the other person feel safe, comfortable, might be so fundamentally different that it's just not going to be doable. Um,
Hmm.
and it really comes down to also willingness to compromise. Obviously, like my wife isn't schizoid, right? My kids aren't
Hmm.
schizoid, but but my wife understands a variety of things about me, and so I've learned over time to compromise the way I speak about things or understand things. So I actively metacognate to have a better way of saying something, or a better way
Hmm.
of speaking about something that I know is like dicey emotionally for her in specific ways
Hmm.
that maybe don't make quite as much sense to me. But so yeah, yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not an easy thing, and
Yeah.
depending
So
on
when
the
you
individuals, you know.
when you navigate something like that, is it like I don't really understand why like you're saying you have to word something in a way that makes her feel better about it? Is it
Well,
like you don't
or
really understand
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
you don't really like understand like why this works the way it does or whatever, but you just know from
I understand.
experience and her
I
reactions?
understand on a mostly. I understand on an intellectual level. Like I'll
Mm,
understand how that stuff works and why it works like it does because I have a pretty decent interest and understanding on like kind of regular psych stuff.
mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't. I'm not like I don't emotionally understand it. Like I
Mm,
don't go like, oh, I can relate to that feeling because
yeah.
that feeling, some of it. I'm not saying everything, but some of the feelings and reactions to things, and then those kind of automatic assumptions are just ones I don't have, and they confuse me, and I don't
Yeah.
understand their purpose or why it's even so automatic for somebody. I mean, I understand it, but I just don't understand emotionally. Like I can't say I relate and be
Yeah.
honest. Like
It's you have a
yeah.
intellectual understanding, not an experiential
Yeah, I don't
understanding.
have an experiential understanding when it comes to specific
Mm-hmm.
things. I have feelings, obviously. Every schizoid has feelings. Strong, sometimes very strong feelings internally that they oftentimes have trouble expressing to the external world. But But my feelings are usually attached to very different things. So, for example, my wife, she might be like there might be stuff that will ruin my day, like completely.
Mhm.
That won't make any sense to her at all. Like
Mm,
she won't be able
yeah,
she won't it won't make any
that's
sense to
relatable.
her. Yeah, it won't make any sense to her experientially, right? Like she'll hear me say it, and in her mind, her automatic instinct is, "What's the big deal?" But because we've been together for so long, she understands there's going to be circumstances in which I'm going to have a very negative reaction to something that isn't going to make sense to her, and so to her, just like I do with her, the emphasis is placed on the fact that you give a shit about the other person and you don't want to see them suffer. And
Yeah.
so if they're suffering, that's the problem. The problem isn't why; it's that they are.
Hmm.
And understanding to a reasonable degree how to navigate that is a choice somebody can make. So, and after so long, you get kind of mostly used to it. Not that we don't fight and stuff. Of course we do, because we still clash heads on a variety of things. But it's still, it's a very different kind of situation, obviously.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, one of the big things that like draws me to your channel and everything is the fact that you do have like a successful relationship and kids and everything, which is, I mean, for schizoids, having successful interpersonal relationships is kind of like the like
Well, yeah,
like
but
the
she's
big.
she's she, and I'll be honest. Why is everyone leaving? This is fascinating. That's so funny. Maybe people just were here for me taking psych tests.
Yeah, they don't
But
want to listen to my normie ass ask a
no,
bunch of
no, but
questions.
I don't care. I'm interested. That's all I give a shit about. If they don't want to hear it, that's fine. But um, what was I gonna say? Shit. Oh yeah. So no, I can't remember. You said something about relationship.
Uh,
Oh, successful
yeah.
relation. Okay, so pretty much like, in all honesty, my wife was my first successful relationship with any other human.
Mhm.
So, um, that's what's interesting. Like, I wouldn't have been able to connect to my wife as much as I had over the years if it wasn't for how open, patient, and sort of she already has kind of like an ambivalent sort of attitude. She is already kind of a in some cases, at least outside of family, kind of suspicious of strangers and people, kind of introverted sometimes, and shit like that. So my kind of odd and um, asocial behavior wasn't like a super big problem uh,
Mhm.
most of the time. Of course, we had our little headbutts because she cares about her family, and she was inviting me to, get-togethers, and I obviously didn't want to go to these, right? And that became like an issue for a while. Obviously, early in our relationship, and then over time, compromises were made, understandings were made, got better and better. Now I'll just go to one. I don't mind, like, at all. I just kind of I
Mhm.
know how to navigate it and just kind of do my thing. Sometimes I bring like my Switch, or I'll bring a book or something, and she's kind of learned to understand that it's not that I'm like, oh, I'm so unhappy with being there. I'm not. I just don't really like. I don't know what to do with myself there unless there's something actively happening. But like, if for example I'm at a family get together, and they start playing a game I like, or a board game or something, I'll partake. Um,
Mhm.
Sometimes I have to drink a little bit, and then I'll play cards, or just talk about, if they bring up a subject I'm interested in, I'll discuss it. I'll get into it, but I can't do. I don't want to do the whole like just sitting there and talking about each other's lives and mingling and just
Mhm.
nothing. Like I can't. I just can't. I just have zero
Mhm.
interest in it, and I don't want to mask. I hate masking. I used to mask all the time. It's something I really actively try to avoid now, unless it's very useful. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it wasn't like a easy thing. It was a big struggle. We had kids. We still had issues regarding this stuff. Once I got my diagnosis, better understanding of these things, we've had significant ups and downs.
When
Like
did you get diagnosed?
I got diagnosed about 4 years ago, but
Was
and
that after y'all met?
oh yeah, long after. So it for she knew, like she always tells me, she knew something was different about me, but she liked some of those differences. And obviously there were
Mm-hmm.
other differences that were not so likable. And you know, for the longest time, over time, she basically figured out, like, okay, this is not, like, after me explaining it, as I figured out myself, I had an easier time explaining what is going on with me. For a while, we thought, like, are you, like, we were trying to figure out, like you're definitely neurologically different, like, you're cognitively different. So we were trying to figure out, like, before I knew about schizoid stuff, we were trying to figure out, like, maybe do you have some kind of, like, uh, high functioning autism or something, and like stuff like that. I was like actively interested in trying to figure that stuff out, because it was just like, what's going on, um,
Mm-hmm.
and and so on and so forth. And then I got the diagnosis for being schizoid or whatever, and it all came together as far as initially. But then a lot of other stuff didn't make sense, and the way they described the personality disorder didn't make sense. And so that's when, like, I started coming up with the helps of others over the years, just
Mm-hmm.
coming up with ideas as to what it is that's actually occurring, and so on and so forth in regards to neurodivergency. But whatever, that's neither
Mm-hmm.
here nor there. So, but as I've learned these things, and as I've worked with my psych, I've explained and I've actively communicated these things with my wife. And sometimes, you know, we'd have bumps on the road, because some of the stuff that I was saying, it was really hard for her to interpret in any other way. Um, she had to basically actively think about things differently in regards to me, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because you know, so if I say something, and obviously I avoid this stuff, like if I say something and it bothers her or hurts her feelings, like I just need her to tell me that that's what happened, and then I will kind of do my best to choose different wording, or approach it with a little more tact the next time. So,
Yeah.
and so then, you know, stuff like that. But it really just comes down to, is that person, the level of this PD they deal with, and if that person's in a time in their life where they can even make such changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, because I I started connecting to more people because of the server, because of the work I do, and I've seen a lot of schizoids essentially recover from aspects of their PD, not their whole way of being, because like I said, that a lot of that neurodivergent stuff
Mm-hmm.
is just who they are, but the kind of anhedonia and the volition and the
Yeah.
feeling of emptiness and inability to connect to anybody, like a lot of that stuff is like improved for a lot of the people, improved for myself and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the people I talk to and work with. So I mean, it doesn't take
One
care
thing.
of all the other problems. A lot of us have like comorbidities and shit, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
One thing I was really curious about
Hmm.
is a lot of schizoids experience this like every human has the feeling of wanting to be understood, like including schizoids. But with schizoids, being understood has a lot of other like negative weight added to it. Like there's a desire to be understood, and then there's also like huge fear of being understood. And
Yeah, because of the
a lot of
vulnerability and stuff.
schizoids
Yeah.
like have this, yeah. Vulnerability and control is a huge thing for
Well,
her.
people confuse
Um,
control. The people use the word control. I personally don't think that's the right word. The word I would use is autonomy. It's more about autonomy and less about control.
mhm,
It's about not allowing anything or anyone take control of them. And
mhm,
sometimes it will actively look as if you know, they're being a control freak about stuff, or they don't want anyone touching or messing with their stuff because, you know, they're this or that. But it really is an autonomy thing, because like
Mm-hmm.
when you have, especially when your ego and your sense of self is pretty like shaky, you want to kind of maintain what you have, and you don't want somebody else, because sometimes schizoids will
Yeah.
have very permeable sort of sense of self, and so they're afraid of being engulfed or influenced by an outside force in some
Mm-hmm.
way, and so yeah. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. It just that's the
Oh, you're
wording I
fine.
generally. It's kind of like a focus on autonomy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've always viewed it like the way you described it is different from how I thought about it, so it's kind of enlightening. But the way I've always thought of the control thing is like it's less of like a desire to be like the one in charge or a control
Hmm.
freak or whatever,
Yeah,
and it's
for
more
sure.
of just like a fear of vulnerability. It's like a fear that if like I don't know, if they don't have agency over this thing, then the world will crush them
Or
pretty
that they
much.
will be crushed, like their sense of
Yeah,
self
yeah.
will be crushed and drowned in someone
Hmm.
else's needs,
Hmm.
desires, that they're going to
Yeah.
basically choose over their ability to stay themselves. Yeah, I mean, it's just, and then
Hmm.
when you lack when you lack the words to, or the ability or the skill or whatever to communicate what it is you need, because even sometimes you don't fully comprehend, it's very
Hmm.
easy to feel like you're gonna lose your grip on it, and it's just
Hmm.
gonna change again, or you're gonna end up mimicking something else in your environment, and then regret it later and hate yourself for it, and there's all kinds of very
Hmm.
complicated issues when it comes to this stuff. But that's what's important, is being able to discuss these things with other people that have that lived experience. Because if you
Hmm.
like, there's no amount of conversation somebody that's schizoid can have with somebody that's not, um that's going to make them feel like that person is comprehending fully what they're saying, or if they can, it's going to require a gargantuan effort. Meanwhile, when you
Hmm.
get like a few schizoids together and they start just kind of expressing how they feel about people and the world around them and the difficulties of it, it's just like really easy. It's like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
I also have those thoughts and lack of connection, and for the reasons you're similarly describing. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's pretty interesting stuff.
Hmm. Well, back to what I was gonna ask you, like related to like being understood, and the fear of being understood. And a lot of schizoids have this like fear of like this existential fear of envelopment, especially when it's somebody that they feel close to or have some kind of
Mhm.
like that fear is almost worse when it's somebody that they actually do care about because there's so much more weight added to it.
Yeah.
And I guess did you experience that with your wife? Like, did you have a
Many
like a
times, yes. In
okay?
this, but I would be kind of. It was a lot of the times where I have like a very deep regret of the times I have been a dick to her because of those things, those defenses. Like, because I couldn't really express myself to her in a way that made sense to her. I couldn't really express what it is I was experiencing. I thought I was going crazy or something, and but then she was able to express it, and I felt like at the time it wasn't really true, but at the time I had felt like, oh, I have to like change for everyone, and everyone, including her, and I have to change for everybody because I have to meet their criteria, and they can't possibly meet mine because mine doesn't even make sense to them, and I'll always be like, a slave to their needs and how they want me to be, and I would like lose myself and all this sort of shit, like it was
Hmm.
yeah, and that would basically lead me to like sometimes just be a complete asshole about stuff. Like I would just be like, well, why should like, I would say something like, well, why should I care about that? Like you don't even understand what I'm talking about or what I care about, so why should I give a shit about your stuff? And even if they're actively trying to understand my stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't even express it very well. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so I would get feel insecure and angry, and confused, about why they need me to do all these things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? And of
Mm-hmm.
course there were times where it's like some of my requests or the things I felt like I needed to a regular person might sound unreasonable, right? Um, so, for example, like I don't know, like being able to say, okay, if I go to, I don't mind going to your family's things, but I need to bring like my Nintendo DS or something at the time, with me because I'm not comfortable just interacting with everybody there. Like to That's going to be a really difficult hurdle,
Mm-hmm.
for any person that isn't like this to understand. Like to go,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, like to be able to go, oh yeah, you're not being rude, ignoring everyone. It's because of something. It's not about you hating them. It's not about you disliking all of them. It's not about you,
Mm-hmm.
um, like this or that, right? And so, but that's really hard. That's a very difficult thing
Mm-hmm.
for somebody to like be able to kind of overcome or metacognate into, because it's just so counterintuitive to the average person. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't fault them for it. I really can't.
Mm-hmm.
I used to. That
So,
was a problem. I faltered her for it.
mm-hmm.
And that's how I was hurting her, by faulting her for
Mm-hmm.
things that she had no means, especially at the time, to really be able to like understand or be able to kind of tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
So
So for you, was the understanding gap more fueled by you just not knowing how to express yourself, and also the insecurity that would come from not feeling like you
well,
could fully articulate your
what,
feelings, or
what
was there also
but the insecurity,
um
and like I wouldn't know that it was insecurity, right? I just
mhm,
felt uncomfortable and angry, and
mhm,
I just felt like I was being like engulfed, like I didn't see it as like I didn't like I wouldn't feel my own anxiety, or I wouldn't feel
mhm,
my own, like it was just, and didn't understand why it was causing me as much distress. So I would
mhm,
intellectualize the reasons for that
mhm.
distress, and
Would
then
you
and
ever
use like reason and logic in order to determine why I'm right to feel this way and you're wrong for not understanding why I feel this way. Yeah,
would
yeah,
you ever either like consciously or subconsciously kind of like because this is what I was getting at
yeah,
with what I was just asking you.
yeah.
Um, because with the first half, I guess like I was at, or yeah, the first half of the question was like, is it difficult for you to talk about those things with her just because you feel like you have the inability to articulate it, or is there also this like actual fear of opening yourself up? Like, is that a thing as
Yeah,
well? Like,
I mean, the fear is there, right? And the discomfort is
mhm.
there, but oftentimes you can't even recognize it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you're so
Um,
disassociated from one, the feelings themselves sometimes, but also like being able to articulate what those why those feelings are like that to begin with, right?
mhm,
So then you're going to use other methods and other defenses to reinforce you avoiding that stressful,
mhm,
discomforting thing, which is going to be,
mhm,
yes, that fear of losing yourself or someone taking your autonomy away, and so on and so
mhm,
forth. Yeah, but you're gonna what are you gonna do? You're gonna probably intellectualize the situation and come up with a reasonable, rational reason. And emotions don't run on that, right? Emotions don't
mhm,
generally run on reasonable and rational. And then we'll start faulting others for not functioning on that wavelength, right?
mhm.
Because we ourselves had to kind of function many times on that wavelength, because that's the only way we could navigate our world, not emotionally. Hold on, my daughter is behind me. Give me a second.
Okay.
Sorry, my little one. There's no like telling her no, Like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
no,
it's she's
that's
4. She's 4, so it's like
mhm.
if she's
Yeah,
like, I
that's
want to say
perfectly
goodnight and jump
understandable.
on your, legs and
Hmm.
shake you and go crazy and scream. Like, yeah, there's no saying no to
Hmm.
that ever. Um,
So with the fear of the loss of autonomy and like
yeah,
that other person imposing their needs and everything upon you,
yeah.
does that does that stem directly from like a fear of them weaponizing their understanding of you?
Um,
Or is there something
well,
else?
usually, okay, I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but from what I understand and what I've been told, it's more, it's less of a fear of somebody weaponizing it, though there is that sometimes, but it's more of a fear or discomfort with not being able, like, for of them misinterpreting your
Mm,
motivations, your actions, your thoughts, uh the assumptions they make about what those things are, right? When you yourself sometimes can't even fully grasp why you care about what you care about and the way you care about emotionally, right? When people make assumptions about it, especially emotional assumptions about you, that are
mhm.
not actively true to you in any way, shape, or form, that is incredibly um, stress provoking. And I can't I don't want to understate it. It's like one of the worst fucking feelings a
Mhm.
schizoid can deal with. It can cause depression and anxiety, and sometimes trigger anhedonia, all kinds of stuff. So it's that kind of, instead of just, because right? People don't just ask each other straightforward questions uh, about their actual thoughts about things, right?
Mhm.
It's not something that is generally done.
Mhm.
And that's pretty normal for most humans on Earth, I would say, to just kind of do this kind of strange back and forth of assumption, a little bit of clash and some conflict, misunderstanding, and then eventually some communication of some kind in which there's all this
Yeah.
forgiveness, and it's like
That's
all that stuff is just like, what the fuck,
yeah,
right?
that is one of my biggest beefs with normies is like they can't have real fucking conversations with people.
Yeah, and that's
It's
usually
like
the
playing a
case.
game.
And it's kind of interesting is your attitude toward that is probably one of the only reasons you were even able to have a schizoid girlfriend even for the time that you did. Is
Mhm.
because you probably just you have the right temperament and personality to make it easier, right, to
Mhm.
connect in some regards. So to
Yeah.
even be able to begin to so yeah, and for that, I say that's great. But yeah, it's like a struggle for both parties, and it's only if both
Mhm.
parties are that tenacious and that willing to go through the motions and deal with it and manage it and stuff like that. It's just the only way. Like I
Yeah.
almost have a, like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just some fucking loser on the internet. But I can almost, I personally feel like there's probably a good chance that your ex is either on the schizo spectrum or on the autism spectrum to some degree.
Mhm.
Um for sure. Like I have yet to
What makes you
meet.
say that?
Huh?
What makes you say that?
I've never met a schizoid that isn't neurodivergent.
Okay, okay,
I've
that makes
never met
sense.
one. Like all of them
Mhm.
have fundamentally differing views on people, the world, themselves, um, how they interact sometimes sensory wise with the world, how like it's just their relationship with their body, like it's just so fucking different. I've never talked to a schizoid that's just like, oh yeah, the way I perceive the world is, the needs I have are the same needs, right? This is what's interesting is just that, like they have emotional needs, they have things that can motivate them, but they generally none of those things almost ever look like anything that any regular person is motivated by. And I'm not even talking about like I'm talking about like the big things, right? Like I'm talking about like being liked and by others and appreciated and for these kind of interpersonal status based reasons, right? Even if a person isn't actively conscious of it while they're not going like status, right? But it's like recognition from your peers, right? Like all this sort of
Mhm.
stuff. This is like big shit. This isn't like, oh, you're just an introvert or an extrovert, right? This is like big shit. Because if you're an introvert or an extrovert, like on a conventional level, you're still motivated by these things. You still care about this shit.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
schizoids don't fucking care. It's not like, and it's not because, oh, they're so disconnected from the feelings, they don't even know what they want. No, they're like, the stuff they do care about isn't that stuff. And when I talk to
Mhm.
them, the stuff they care about is either really fucking schizo or really fucking autistic. Like, it just is. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that makes
and
sense.
a lot of people that are diagnosed schizoid later in life or believe themselves to be were diagnosed with autism, ADHD, and all kinds of other neurodivergent shit as kids.
Mhm.
It's almost like
Yeah,
every fucking time. It's crazy.
I think I think she also has an ADHD diagnosis, but I am not sure if I'm misremembering that or not.
Yeah, and what's interesting
Um,
is if you ask me when I talk about ADHD, I think ADHD is sometimes being misdiagnosed. Like, I mean, in my case, probably definitely is, but
yeah.
I think ADHD sometimes is what I think it's a schizo-spectrum kid, just an abstract thinking, meta thinking kid that just automatically that's how they are. Like they don't give a fuck about what the kids around them are doing in the same way, and they really don't give a fuck once they get to high school and everyone goes into social interpersonal mode and they're like, what the fuck, I want to go back to my special interests. Like I want to go, if they're a schizospectrum person, they probably want to go back to their like philosophy and occult
Mhm.
or spiritual or I don't know, like artistic uh like concerns and preoccupations. Like they're not gonna
Mhm.
like it's like, oh, do you want to go out and meet meet new people and go and make friends and get into a romantic relationship based on what you understand a romantic relationship is, or do you want to just be left alone to your own devices so that you can study or enjoy or participate in skills, talents, or just special interests that you have? And it's
Mhm.
gonna be the latter almost every fucking time. And you
Mhm.
ask an autistic person, they're probably going to say similar. It's just going to
Mhm.
be it's just going to be a different sort of thing. It's like what matters to you more? Making a lot of friends and going out and socializing or your special interests? Like of
Mhm.
course those are going to be like number 1 fucking
Yeah.
over like all that other shit. And it's not because they're broken or bad. No, they're just fucking different. And that's the
Mhm.
problem. I think the that schizoid PD it stems from like just not for not anyone in their environment being able to comprehend that shit.
Yeah,
Um,
that's one thing I've learned from a lot of the research I've done is that schizoid schizoid people just have different needs. Like that's why therapy fails so often with them, is because the therapist is trying to get them to do the things that are healthy for like a neurotypical person to do. Like a neurotypical person needs to have these types of relationships and do these certain things in order to be mentally healthy, but it just doesn't map onto the schizoid brain
Yeah,
the same
like,
way.
well, and because it's neurodivergent in some way or another. Like, it just doesn't fucking map. And then everyone, your family, your peers are telling you, oh, it maps, it maps. You're just fucked up, or you're not listening, or you're not doing it right, or you need help. It's like, and you're like, no, it's not mapping. It doesn't feel like it's mapping. And then you get gaslight yourself, and you're like, oh, something's wrong with you. That's why it's not mapping. The reason it's not mapping is because I'm not doing it right. I better keep trying. I better keep doing it over and over and over until I fucking want to, neck myself. And then, like, yeah. And then eventually you give up on trying. You just give up on all of it. And then you do the whole, black and white thinking about it. And you're just like, oh, there are friendship, blah, romance, blah, like, connection to other humans, blah, because all you've associated to it is all this shit that doesn't map. Why the fuck would you care about it if none of the stuff that you've tried or been told you should try maps? Why? Just gonna give up. Go do some other shit. Leave me alone. It's crazy, man. Like, I've just been honest with people now that I understand myself. Like, I had somebody I work with sometimes on this other thing. They hit me up and they're like, hey, do you want to hang out? You want to hang out with, some friends of mine so we can do some nerdy thing? And even though I'm interested in the nerdy thing, I know, because they're not like this in the same way. I know that a lot of the people they talk to are going to be people that I'm not going to vibe with. And they're probably going to have expectations, concerns, interests, even in regards to something like interacting in a video game that I'm just not going to relate to or vibe with. And then I'm going to frustrate someone, or they're going to frustrate me. And then I'm not going to want to do it anymore. And I'm going to wish I never did it. And I told them, like, it's not something I do. Remember the Zoid stuff. And I'm just not, I need to organically find people, right? Like, it's just, if I happen upon them through conversation and we happen to vibe or whatever, and we have similar kind of neurodivergent issues that, like, basically make it so we don't get on each other's nerves because we're automatically doing the shit that wouldn't, because we both have similar features when it comes to what gets on our nerves or what we don't want. Then if I organically come across, but if somebody's like, hey, let's make some friends, or, oh, come meet all my friends, I want you to be friends with them, fuck that. I don't need that shit. Like, a lot of people would be like, oh, that's so awesome, I want to meet your friends, I want more friends, I want more people to talk to, so exciting. It's like, no, I want that shit. I like talking to people. I don't like being friends with a lot of people. I only like talking to people because I like conversation. I like the whole, dialogue. Information produces, new shit, and then I get new thoughts, and then I can use those thoughts, and so on and so forth. So, but
and from my understanding too, one of the biggest issues that schizoids have with like interpersonal relationships in general is like the expectations people put. Like, so when you become
they're
friends
non-mappable
with somebody
expectations.
versus like there's a huge distinction between just like happening to spend time together doing something and like mutually enjoying that time versus like being like quote unquote like friends and then having expectations behind that, like, okay, now that we're friends, we need
those
to
expectations are normal. Those expectations are normal and healthy in most situations. Those are like, to a lot of schizoids, they see those expectations people have for each other and they go, everyone must be insane, they're all psychopaths, they're all self-absorbed, like narcissists, right? But that's because it's so just doesn't connect that it seems like extreme, right? And so, but actually, let me look at some of the chat here. Oh my god, active research, holy shit. Then you've just been posting, people asking you how much money you make. Yeah, why would people ask that? That's fucking rude. Someone acting, understanding you right after meeting you. Oh, I fucking hate that too. I get that stuff. I get that stuff and I hate it, but I can't assign. I hate the game, not the player. You know, that's what I say. I hate the game, not the player, when it comes to this stuff. And I can't fault them. It's just how it is. Don, Angst, I'd swear. Well, I want to, obviously change certain things so they can acknowledge our side of the fucking table. But Angst, I swear you're describing my own life with my wife and family. The more you describe the perceptions before self-educating about schizoid, the more I see the spooky similarities. What'd you say, Active? I make sure normal people don't like me and stay the fuck away from me. Also, I laugh when people tell me they're introverted. LMAO, I'm like, you're a drama queen. That's all. That's hilarious. Like, it's just funny to think that, like, even to a schizoid, someone that's, like, legitimately maybe neurotypical but introverted seems like they're too emotional and all this shit. Don, the conversation you describe with your wife, cognitive reasons, feelings, emotions, is chilling reminder of a few instances of creative friction. Yep, damn near the entirety of neurotypical world doesn't map, so I'm just fucking lost, stranger in a strange land. Yeah, it feels fucking alien, man. And then you grow up having to fucking do this shit yourself. You have to figure this shit all on your own. Ain't nobody fucking helping you. Nowadays, you might get some help, especially if you're on the autism side. Then, yeah. You have good parents that can recognize and are somewhat educated on the matter and then decide to educate themselves further and then and don't put you in fucking ABA or some stupid shit like that and just try to accept you for who the fuck you are. Fucking TV, like, I don't know. But yeah. So yeah. Then you might not end up fucking an autist with schizoid personality disorder. You'll end up like an autist that's like, has a sense of self that you feel is real and is validated by those you care about, and you actually were able to mirror if you had autistic friends or something, you were able to mirror other people in a way that's intuitive and healthy to you and makes you feel whole. Like, so like, it's just, that's what I mean, man. Like, when you grow up without all that shit, it's just gonna fuck you up. It's gonna fuck you up. You gotta reject everything and everyone, even yourself sometimes. So anyway, sorry, I went off on a little rant.
Oh no, you're fine.
But
I did want to ask you, I was curious about this. Circling back to when we were talking about one of the reasons why it's hard to open up is because that fear of misunderstanding. And that's something that, like, I guess I've seen that, but like outside looking in, and it seems really counterintuitive from my like mostly neurotypical brain. At least I'm neurotypical in that way. Yeah,
you're just not schizo spectrum or autism spectrum.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I guess counterintuitive to my non-schizoid brain is it feels like the less you like, not opening yourself up only makes misunderstanding, like them misunderstanding you, worse. Like, I feel like even if you were to imperfectly articulate yourself, or even if you like can't really
it ends
like
up
express
horrible
yourself
most of the
that
time.
well.
That's a problem. Many
So you think it makes it
tried.
worse than better?
They've tried. They've tried since childhood, even without really realizing it. Right? Think about it like this: you try to express yourself and how you feel, and when you're like 7 years old, 6 years old, and your parents and your peers are telling you that what you're thinking and what you're feeling doesn't make sense, and then ultimately it doesn't matter, or you're thinking about it, or it's wrong. It's wrong, it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't matter. That's all you hear. Right? And so eventually you get to a point where even on a subconscious level, you're like, well, none of that stuff I say or feel matters. And if I say it or feel, there's a risk of punishment because I've already experienced it. Or misunderstanding. And so then by the time you're in your teens, it gets a lot worse because all your peers that you maybe were able to connect to some degree because you guys just played video games or played sports or you did some mutual interest together. And, before puberty and everything else, everyone's just like, what happened in the last episode of, fucking whatever show? and they're like actively all nerdy, want to talk about all that, and they're not really like talking about other shit that doesn't make sense as much, because they're still kids, you know. And then yeah, teenager hits, gets worse, 20s, not get it doesn't get any better. By the time you're in your like mid 20s, all that shit's super solidified. You're just like you don't even remember why you don't fucking like you don't connect to people. You just know at that point you're just like I just don't. And then there's this kind of very deep seated sense of they will never understand me. It is pointless to express myself. And then sometimes they will. They'll feel finally safe enough to. And then guess what happens? That person misinterprets their like sincere explanation that they tried their best. And then that person misinterprets it, and all that fucking resentment and confusion and regret for even opening up just floods in. Right? And it floods in, and then you just shut down. And you're like, fuck this. And then that's why they ghost. They'll just ghost relationships, ghost people, because that thing happens. That thing that basically bubbles up years of fucking trauma.
That makes sense.
I mean, like, it's almost like a lot of schizoids basically have some form of CPTSD. Like, it's just, it's wild, man. Like, I almost want to call it like a neurodivergent CPTSD or something. Like, that's neglect, it's unintentional neglect. Like, years of unintentional neglect from family, peers, institutions, and so on. I don't understand how people think that you're just going to come out right and cheery. I haven't met very many autistic people that are just like, life's great and everything's awesome. A lot of them still have like a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, all kinds of issues. They might not be schizoid, but they got all kinds of fucking concerns and worries and stresses that are very unique to them. And then they get more and more freaked out because the people around them don't fucking understand their worries and stresses and sometimes actively ignore them. And maybe at best family members that are actually kind and empathetic and metacognitive will be able to navigate and understand it to some degree. But at your work, with strangers, fuck no. You're always going to be this fucking weirdo that doesn't make any sense.
So did you have that same experience, like with
Fuck
opening up with your
yes.
wife and her
Oh,
misinterpreting and
my
that
wife.
causing you
Oh
a lot of
yeah,
training?
early on, of course. And then, but early on, it was less tumultuous because I was like masking more. So it was more like, okay, no, like, oh, okay, no, yeah, I want to like, I was just actively trying to make it so that, um, I didn't cause friction, right? Because I, and then when I did, I felt like really, really like scared because I was, this was like the first person I was able to like kind of really connect with, and so I'm like, I can't lose them. This is like I'm gonna like I almost felt like, oh, I'm gonna lose my humanity or something, like because I'm just like I'm gonna lose the ability to because I can't imagine connecting to more people because it just requires too many variables and bullshit. And that would have to like the stars would have to line again, and that's impossible, all this sort of shit in my head. But yeah, of course, like, but then when I started like trying to actively express like in a disjointed way sometimes because I didn't fully understand what I didn't like and what I did and what's frustrating to me and what made me feel bad, some of that stuff seemed like to anybody, any regular person, it's going to seem like you're making excuses or you're trying to like let them down easy or something. Or they're gonna interpret you saying like something like about how you're kind of ambivalent and indifferent about a bunch of stuff. They're gonna be like, think that you felt that way the entire time about us, that you never even cared about the relationship or something like that. Yeah, and that's not what like they're saying. They're just saying that they don't emotionally connect to aspects of it, and they want to connect. Maybe they want to actively connect to those things, but the person just automatically assumes all this shit about you. And then, yeah, and it causes you to want to just be like, fuck this. I never wanted this. I should have never, had a relationship with anyone. It was not meant for me. I'm someone that should have never fucking done this. I'm not designed for this. I'm cursed. I'm inhuman. I must be some kind of sociopath. Yeah, we just fucking thoughts like that, man. It sucks. um and eventually you become like either incredibly hermit and high masking and just deal with it and swallow your pride, the lack of pride, to be honest, or you become just incredibly misanthropic. So I mean,
Hmm.
and I think one of the things that's interesting about schizoids is that um that's runs counter to this whole idea that we don't give a shit about anything, or that we're just like, oh, we're just lacking empathy or whatever. Is that a lot of them will stay away from people because they actively don't want to hurt others, because
Hmm.
they know that when they participate with others on an interpersonal level, whether it's intention, I mean, unintentionally, they're always just gonna be hurting themselves and other people.
Yeah, that was definitely a major theme with me and my ex. Was didn't she just wanted to go ahead and end it because she didn't want to inevitably just hurt me more
Yeah, and to stress you
in the
more,
long
and then
term.
watching you be like that, it fuels a sense of, even if sometimes you don't feel it all the way, it feels a sense of shame and regret and just resentment
Hmm.
for even the person that's feeling bad, because then you're like, well, I never asked for this. You're assuming this about me. You feel bad because that's on you, but then at the same time you're like, fuck, if I would have never partaken in this, or neither of us would be hurting it and they wouldn't be hurting, and I should have just never
Hmm.
done this. Like, you just have thoughts like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
See, what was this? Not opening up also as a result of not getting a response makes any sense, provides any sense of reward to those perceptions, plus the history of active hostility. Yeah, perfect. Perfectly said, Don. Perfectly said. The anger and resentment become the cork in the bottle that all of their emotions get bottled up in. Don't shake the fucking bottle. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, that last one, that was like perfectly said. Much more concise than anything I say. I ramble like a fucking madman. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
but I like being a madman. It's part of who I am. That schizotypal in me. It's always a blast. I think schizotypal people oftentimes are non they're like the non-schizoid version of just a schizo-spectrum person that just is emotionally dysregulated for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
I think schizotypal people are just people that think in schizo-spectrum fashions, but there's this the world just tells them they're crazy and insane and so on and so forth, and there's no one to help them control and understand their impulses, and the people that try to help them are trying to help them based on neurotypical standard. So, and then
Hmm.
that just makes them more paranoid and more aversive to help from
Hmm.
people, because those people don't understand. They don't understand the importance of what I believe and what I think, right? They're just calling it delusion, all of it. Like, and there might be
Hmm.
some there, but it developed because of a lack of support and understanding.
Hmm.
But yeah. Anyway. Oh shit. I lost
Yeah.
time. Let me try
I
to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't really have any of an understanding of what all schizotypal entails. I definitely have like I know the term,
Yeah.
but
It's all cluster
I
A,
have a
baby.
much better I have a much better grasp on like the whole like what like schizoid entails and what schizophrenic entails, but I don't know anything about
Yeah.
schizotypal.
And that's what's interesting is that, like, I appreciate that you're on here asking questions. I appreciate that you've done some of the literature. I hope you're not doing this in the hopes of somehow getting your girl back.
No,
Um,
I've already given up on that.
okay. So, I mean, then maybe you're just navigating your own emotions when it comes to this for closure reasons and other stuff. And that's okay
That
too.
and that's like a part of it, but also there's just like a genuine curiosity.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a very
Oh.
novel thing because nobody talks about it or understands it. But
Hmm.
I like that I have a sense that you respect that there are some things you just won't understand about it, because of the lived experience part. But like completely understand, because unfortunately, all you have available is my silly ass rambling, a couple of videos on the internet, and a few books that get a bunch of shit wrong based on my
Hmm.
understanding. So, so it's a tough road, man, when it comes to the subject matter. There's just
Yeah,
not
there's
enough out
tons
there, enough
of
research or anything, and
there's tons of contradictory information and not much information.
but in any case, let me see here.
Do you have to go?
No, I don't have to go, but I want to do at least one of these tests before I
Oh.
because I said I was going to take some and I didn't take any. I started talking about this and it's interesting. Okay, I am going to take one. All right. Let's take which one is not too crazy long. So there's personality tests, but there's also psych, there's love and sex, career tests, projective IQ tests, mental health tests. Ooh. Well, let's see here. Let's see the mental health tests. Which one might be interesting? Let's do multi-dimensional anger test. What does that mean? Oh yeah, I don't know what it's about, but I'm gonna take it. Questionnaire is not a level diagnosis. Yeah, of course you can't fucking give a diagnosis on a goddamn website. Let me see here. All right, when I'm angry, wait, is this showing? Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
Okay, when I'm angry, it is hard for me to think logically. Strongly disagree. In fact, my thinking gets more logical, depending on what it is, though. So disagree a little because there are some things that can make me see red. But most of the time when I'm really frustrated, I like to dismantle the thing that's frustrating me using reason. Um, like I attack it with reason because I'm angry at it. I think I get angry more than more people around me. Angry more? Frustrated maybe, but not angry. No, disagree. Disagree strongly. I'm actually pretty level-headed. I am sure that others underestimate me. I don't know. Maybe. There's no center here. I don't disagree or agree a little. I don't I don't know. Maybe. I feel guilty for a long time after an outburst of anger. Not for a long time, but I can feel guilty, especially if it was uncalled for. Man, this is some lacking some nuance. I hate these tests. Let's see here. So I guess I'll disagree a little. When I get angry, it is reflected physically in my body. My heart starts beating faster. I may blush, sweat. Uh, Disagree strongly. Doesn't usually. Like even if I'm yelling and stuff, like my heart's not my I doubt my heart is racing any faster. Like most people want to use others to achieve their own goals. See, this is an interesting question because I think it is true, but I don't think they're conscious of it. So I'm gonna agree a little. I don't think most people are conscious of it. They're not sitting there most of the time. There are people sitting there plotting and like thinking, I want this and so on and so forth. Like that's not really happening. If I get angry, I calm down pretty quickly. Oh yeah, super agree strongly. It depends on what it is, but there are times where it doesn't, but most of the time, yeah. Especially if it has to do with I don't get angry often, but when I have been angry with my wife, I I like the moment like the argument is over, like I immediately just go like that was dumb. I don't want to be angry with her. But it takes her more time to get over it. Me, I just go this isn't what I want. I shouldn't be angry with her. I love her and this is absurd. And then like I kind of get over it very quickly, but then that requires me to just be like, okay, leave her alone. Don't mention this. She'll come around on her own terms and stuff like that. I just boil with anger when things don't go my way. Uh, Disagree strongly. I don't think I'm gonna do very good on this test. I often get angry at other drivers. I don't drive because I have my ADHD related issues and other stuff, and um, maladaptive kind of daydream type thing when I'm bored. So disagree strongly. I don't even get like I'll be
Next.
even if there's bad drivers on the road because and my wife's driving. and there's bad drivers, I'll get like annoyed. She'll get pissed, but I'll get like annoyed. So I'm gonna disagree a little in that sense. So I don't really.
That's interesting because I feel like my ADHD makes me love driving, but I also love speeding and I've gotten way too many tickets.
Well, see, because there's different kinds of ADHD, at least according to, there's like
Oh,
inattentive
definitely.
and hyperactive. And I'm not hyperactive most of like 90% of the time. I'm inattentive. So in combined with
Mm.
the depression and the other shit, like and some of the dissociation and stuff, yeah, like I can't drive because I'll drive and then forget I'm driving, or start having thoughts about other things and then go into autopilot. And it's really unsafe because I may skip stop signs, or
Mm.
or lose track of my speed limit, or start going too slow, maybe too fast, um, almost get hit, um, just because I'm just like not. I just disappear. I disappear in the middle
That's
of the road because it's just so understimulating and uninteresting to drive. It's just what am I doing? This is just getting from one place to the other, and then there's just like I can't have the radio on because that'll distract me, and I'll start just
Mhm.
daydreaming about the song, and then it's just too many close calls, and there's just no fucking way I'm gonna drive my family around like that, and I can't drive by myself like that because now I have responsibility with my kids. Like I'm not gonna go driving and then die in a car wreck or go to jail for manslaughter. And plus, I couldn't live with myself if I got like distracted and hit like a car with like a kid or something in it, and like they got hurt or worse. Like I would just neck myself. I couldn't live with that. So that's why me and my wife decided you don't drive. I got my license and everything, or like it was just too dangerous. Um, but in any case, let's see here. I can get angry even at the slightest criticism of me. Fuck no, I don't give a shit about criticism. I could disagree. Like, but see, I can get angry when people misunderstand or misassume my words and my motivations instead of asking. That will get me frustrated. I don't know that I'll get furious, or anything like that. But criticism, if they call me like stupid or you're slow or you're poor, you don't understand anything, you're dumb. I don't know. I don't give a fuck about that. That shit slides right the fuck off me. Unless my wife tells me. She's the only exception that can hurt. She's the only person on this fucking green or blue, whatever earth, that can just actually harm me with criticism. That's it. And then other polyzoids hear that and they go, "That's why I don't get any of that. I don't want any of that shit." And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Be like, I don't want the ability to be harmed by another human being. That fucks with my autonomy. And I get it. I get it. I used to feel that way. Oh, there's more? Oh, come on. Okay, let's do them fast. I often hide my anger and regret it later. Regret hiding it? Agree a little. Sometimes you should be angry. In a fit of anger, I have caused physical pain to other people. Fuck no. There are a number of people who seem to dislike me very much. I think most people are pretty ambivalent toward me. Even if I am angry, I try not to show others. I can agree a little, because sometimes it's just not worth it. I have used alcohol, drugs, or medication as a sedative after temper tantrums. Temper tantrums. Uh, agree, strongly disagree. I'll use alcohol to manage some depression sometimes. I get angry when someone does something unfair. I agree that unfairness is one of those moral intuitions that is strong with me. If I can get angry easily during an argument, if other people disagree with me, no, I don't give a fuck about being disagreed with. Most people don't know how angry I feel inside. I can agree a little because I do have a lot of anger, but toward meta stuff, like my rage, my like bloodthirsty hatred and rage isn't like toward an individual or specific people. It's almost not even toward humans half the time. It's more toward like existence in my schizo brain, and the futility of a variety of things. Um, yeah, you just deal with it. Well, good for you. I can't. Otherwise, if I just dealt with it, I wouldn't be doing half the shit I do. In a fit of anger, I cause damage to someone else's property. No, No. I tend to be on my guard with people who are somewhat more friendly than I expected. Yeah, I would say I agree a little with that. Over friendliness can be disturbing. If people saw my real emotions, they would be surprised how different I felt from my outer mask. Well, yeah, dude. I think most people, not anymore, maybe, but sure, this is just an anger test. As soon as I vented my anger, I stopped thinking about it and calmed down. I don't know. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
With that suspicion when people are too friendly,
Yeah.
how correct do you think that intuition is, like from experience?
I would say it's about like, in my case, I've honed it to about at least 75-25. 75 in my favor.
Mm,
But I don't automatically, I become suspicious. And not because
mm,
like they're going to be actively malevolent. I'm not thinking, oh, they're secretly coming after me, but because um I'm sensing they're the type of person that has certain needs, like they want to be liked by me,
mm.
and I don't want to help them with that.
Yeah, like they're seeking validation from you, so
Yes,
they're
and
being super
I'm like,
nice.
I don't want that. I don't want
That makes a lot
to
of sense.
give you that. And I don't want you to expect that I can. It makes me angry when people do not keep their promises. Agree a little. I mean, I don't get crazy about it. It makes me angry when incompetent people criticize my work. Incompetent people disagree. Criticize my what? No. I mean, it can get it can. I'll go disagree side because it can be annoying because they're talking out of their ass or something, and then you're trying to explain it to them and they won't listen, and then yeah, that can be frustrating. I try not to show my genuine emotions to other people. I used to say, well, I would say to most people, I'll agree a little because nowadays I have friends that I can do that with, other zoids and stuff, but like yeah, I mean, in the past I would be over here. In a fit of anger, I have thrown or broken objects, furniture. Actually, I have done that. I have thrown things at a wall. Um, like something. Usually, it'll be something that I thought was precious to me, and then like I didn't. Like I get mad and I say, "Fuck it, burn everything that I care about." Like who cares? I should have never done this, and I'll like throw a book or a game or something I cared about. Yeah, I've had stuff like that happen. Like stuff that I don't know. It's weird. Uh, but it's very rare. Very rare. Sometimes people make me angry and annoyed just by their presence. Angry and annoyed, not really. No, I'll disagree a little because some people might be annoying to be around. I don't know. When I am angry, I often say things I don't really mean. Uh, Disagree. I usually mean what I say when I'm angry, but there are circumstances in which it's the opposite, or I say it in a way that's like extra venomous because I'm angry and then regret that. But, you know, sometimes my anger is way stronger than it should be under these circumstances. Wait, under the circumstances of, oh, just in general, strongly disagree. I think my anger is fine when it comes to people, at least. I lose my temper easily. We get over it quickly. No, I don't lose it easy. Is that it? My God, I want to end this already. I can get angry because of negative social media comment directed. Fuck no, I don't care. I often get angry at myself for doing stupid things. Yeah, actually, I can get angry at myself. Yes. I ask noisy groups of people at the movies to be quiet. I have done that because why shouldn't you? I paid money to be there. You're gonna shush them. Be quiet, please. And if they don't want to be, they don't accept be quiet, please shut the fuck up. I know that people tend to talk about me behind my back. I don't think so at all. I think anybody talks about me. My friend and family think I lose my temper easily. No. Almost daily, I get angry about something. Agree a little. Like internally, I get angry about the state of the world in a variety of ways. A frequent cause of my anger is other people's actions and behaviors. Not a frequent one, but it can be. Even if I'm being criticized, it's more like institutions. Like I get frustrated by like corporations or the employers that I've worked with and the decisions they make based on certain systems that are supported and status quo. Even if I am being criticized unreasonably, I feel guilty. No, this is very strong. I often hide my anger, but in my head, I imagine what my revenge could be. In high school, I was more like that, but not really. I don't know. I wish there was a middle one, like neutral. When I am angry, I do not contain any expressions of anger. No, no, I'll look annoyed. So I'll disagree a little, but I won't like look like I'm blowing up. That's for sure. Jesus Christ, how many pages are there? How many pages does it tell me? This is like a actual test. Yeah, the PISMAT test. I get angry when I do not get what I deserve for my work. I don't get. I get a little annoyed, but that's why I'll just actively do less work than I'm capable of doing because I'm not getting the compensation for it. So it's not that big a deal. I have had relationship or work problems because I couldn't contain my anger. No. It's hard for me to forget the reason for my anger, even after the conflict. It's hard for me. Nah. Sometimes I can feel anger even for no apparent reason. No, I always know why I'm angry. I find it hard to get angry when someone makes stupid jokes about me. I find it hard not to. No, I don't care about that. I can get angry even just by remembering some event from my past. I mean, I think to a normal degree, like certain regrets and parent shit. I try to settle scores with people who have treated me poorly. No. Sometimes I spread rumors about people I don't know. I have gotten in trouble with the law for not being no. Result. All right. An average person is 19.58 more angry than you. Okay. So the average person is 20% more angry than me. That's pretty funny. See here, anger index, low range. Your overall shows the likelihood of anger both in relation to others, oneself response to triggering. The higher the score on the scale, the more likely or difficult to interpersonal relationships, anger-wise. Yeah, that's usually not my reason. The scale shows how strong you feeling anger is in a person. Yeah, how often a person occurs. Yeah, it's really sounds like it's all low. Oh, normal range. My temperament's normal. Okay. My criticism anger is low. My internal anger is high. Yes, it kind of is. That's why it's schizoid angst and not schizoid happy time. I have a lot of frustration and anger and frustration internally about a variety of things. External anger is low. Normal range for hostile outlook. The scale shows how cynical and hostile a person is towards the world around them. People with high scores on the scale doubt the sincerity and intentions of others. Yeah, I would say I have a pretty. I would say it was higher in my 20s. My hostile outlook. Anger control. Okay, so apparently I can control my anger incredibly well. All right, well there you go. I did a test. In any case, thanks a lot, guys, for being here. Please, before you leave, remember there is the Zoid Void. Join it. It's if you're schizoid and you need some relatability, some support, and all that kind of stuff. Do the application process, so on and so forth. Zoid Void on Discord. So it's Discord / or gg./ or whatever the fuck it is, but Zoid Void, and you should find it. It's on Discord too. You can find it there. And if you like the work I do, if you like the server, you like any of it, if you like the work I do just in general, Patreon, please. It's very helpful. Helps me tell my wife why I have to spend time doing this stuff. If you like my YouTube channel, same thing, Patreon. If you like the streams, Patreon. I actually need like $40 more, or $40 or $50 more in YouTube money through any means, even like super chats, to be able to cash out, because you have to get to $100, and I think I have $50 in there right now. And then once I cash that out, I'm gonna just like demonetize my whole YouTube channel because I don't give a fuck. I don't want to monetize. Their system's horrible. If you want to help out directly, PayPal, and if you want to help out the server specifically, you can boost it. I think it's pretty boosted right now. Or you can, if you just really like the server in general, you can subscribe to the server, and that basically will turn into money that goes into the PayPal eventually anyway. So whatever, there's options. So thanks a lot, guys, for listening. Thank you again, Drock, for joining me, and thank you for asking those questions and educating yourself on the matter because you're interested, and that's good. It's good shit.
Of course. Thank you for answering them.
Yeah, sure, whatever. It's all good. It's what I do. It's what I be doing. All right. In any case, guys, if you want to join me after this on the server, I usually just like either play some weird games or watch some weird movies or just talk. I don't know. It just depends on what's going on. In the Angst likes awful media channel because I have terrible taste. Even though people tell me sometimes it's good, but oftentimes it's terrible. So be prepared for anything when you're there. In any case, I'll be there in about 5 minutes. And no one is required to talk. No one is required to interact. You can just sit there muted. You could also just chat. We actively read it. Even if there is people in the VC talking, there is no judgment or obligation when it comes to that. And it's not schizoid specific because it's in the annex. So anybody that's in there, any kind of schizo or autism like that's hanging out in the server, because that's mostly what's in there, can join. All right, I'll be there. Thanks a lot, guys. As usual, when day is dark, always remember, happy day.